I'm Piero Bonamico, one of the creators of the Choral Excellence series. Our mission is to help the world of choral music through the creation of meaningful, high-quality instructional materials and exciting choral performance videos. It's in this effort that I'm pleased to present Donald Nguyen's Choral Techniques and Methods. This series is designed to help choral conductors improve the quality of their rehearsals and performances by addressing some of the key issues of this complex art form. I never fully realized how powerful Donald Nguyen's choral techniques were when I was studying with him at the Eastman School of Music. It was only after I entered the field of choral music professionally and began using these techniques that I understood how essential they were. I'm confident that they will become a regular component of your conducting arsenal. Bringing the rhythm of our music to life is the focus of rhythmic interest and forward motion. This video will teach you and your choir how to find and mark instances of forward motion in your scores. You'll learn how rhythmic interest and the textual emphasis taught in video 4 go hand in hand, and how rhythmic interest and forward motion are a common thread in all great performances. Rhythmic interest and forward motion. Section 1. Forward motion. Bringing the rhythm of music to life. Section 2. Phrasing. Establishing logical note groupings. Section 3. Offbeat emphasis. Using rhythm to move the music forward. Section 4. Markings. Marking forward motion in our scores. Section 5. Specific rhythms. The function of rhythms in context. Section 6. Rhythmic interest. A common thread in all great performances.
So how do we get music to move forward? How do we get rhythmic interest? What is rhythmic interest? We're going to take for granted now that the rhythm is accurate. Accurate rhythm unto itself is not very interesting. Even syncopation. Ba 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 ba. That's accurate. Interesting says, put some accents in there someplace. Put some lift. Ba 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 da bum ba 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 da bum ba ba. Where I didn't emphasize each note equally, and I emphasized mainly the offbeat notes. Bum ba 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 da bum ba 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 da. We find that most people will readily emphasize the primary beats of music. That's in 4/4, 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And in triple meter, the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And in 2/4, like a march. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And when we do that only, the music is boring and goes nowhere, and you set the listener down over and over and over, and a thing like Messiah seems like it takes weeks and weeks and weeks to get through for the audience. See, if I emphasize only 1 and 3 in 4/4 time, I'm comfortable stopping anywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's good. That feels good. In which case, as I said, you're set down over and over, and you're never uplifted in the music. Rhythmic interest is taking fundamental, accurate rhythm and bringing it to life with the offbeat emphasis normally related to fine jazz. Forward motion is calling upon that rhythmic interest to move the music to the right. Like this. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. That's totally different than for unto us a child is born, unto us a da 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 da, and it just skips. Dim ta da dum dum ta da dee dum. And the music has to do that all the time. Unless we're singing some kind of funeral dirge where we want to go da da dum, da da dum, da da dum, da da dum, and there is a little bit of music like that. Not much. What's the single characteristic of jazz? Driving rhythm and offbeat. That. And that's why in New Orleans you can hear jazz till 2 in the morning and then take up a collection and give it to them and have them play another hour. Because it just picks you up and takes you, and picks you up and takes you, and picks up, and it doesn't set you down until the piece is over. So does that mean in order to have good classical music, you have to make jazz out of classical music? Sort of, but not really. It means we want to take the driving rhythm of jazz and have it find a home inside every composer's music. Very subtle in Renaissance. Dance-like and brittle and crisp in Bach and Handel, Vivaldi. More pronounced in Haydn and Mozart. Bombastic in Beethoven. More sustained but still there in Brahms and Verdi. And all of that put together in contemporary composers depending on what they're doing. But it's never not there, this offbeat emphasis. When we were recording Messiah at Eastman, Alfred Mann, who's now the world's greatest Handel scholar, had spent 25 years on an edition. And we premiered it and we recorded it. And he was my musical advisor. He came to every choir rehearsal I had in preparing that thing. Every orchestra rehearsal, every solo coaching, everything. Then at that same time, his old teacher, who at that time was the world's greatest Handel scholar, and Alfred was number 2, from Copenhagen, Denmark, Jens Peter Larsen, he was a guest professor at Eastman that semester. They both came to all my rehearsals. They called themselves my mothers-in-law. And they would just say, no, too fast, too slow, too loud, too soft, too this, too this, too this. And I told the choir, we are, as I said the other day, we are all students of these two musicologists. It'll be their Messiah. I'm their conduit through which they can work. And we're all going to learn from them. And it was maybe singularly the greatest experience I've ever had. And at one time I was rehearsing that piece, the Lord gave the word. Great was the company of the preachers. Great was the company of the preachers. And we were seldom done, but we were doing it. And I was having part of the choir go, part of the choir going, stapping, clapping, tapping, clapping. And we had a little jazz ensemble is what it amounted to, singing that thing. And old Jens Peter Larsen, at 84 years old at that point, got up off his chair and came over and said, stop. I thought, oh God, here we go again. And he said, that's right. Fine Handel is just like fine jazz. Turned around and went, sat down. Now, he didn't say fine Handel is like pop or rock or Broadway. He didn't even say jazz. He said fine jazz. What is the quality of fine jazz, like Dave Brubeck and all those great guys that came out of the 50s and the really great jazz combo groups? Was subtle driving rhythm. Not the obvious boom, chick chick boom, chick chick boom, chick chick boom, not that stuff, but that kind of stuff. So we can deduct from that that any Bach and Handel, any Baroque music, allegro tempo is like fine jazz. And it just gets more, because Bach and Handel, they introduced dancing to the music, to classical music. And fine jazz. It didn't start in New Orleans, it started with those two guys. And then, as I said, Haydn and Mozart made it more obvious, and Beethoven made it the most obvious. So it's okay. And the more you know about jazz, the better a classical musician you will be. And that is for sure. People who either play Bach, sing Bach, conduct Bach, usually do boring Bach unless they've had some jazz in their life somewhere. That kind of stuff. So we have to think, does our music really move on? And it moves on by emphasizing those offbeats and lifting. It isn't a hammer accent. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You see, if you emphasize 2 and 4, it takes you to the next note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. If you emphasize 1 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, it sets you down. Phrasing is simply establishing note groupings, and that there will always be, folks, always be note groupings. Maybe 3, maybe 2, maybe 5, maybe 3 lead in, a stressed fourth, and 2 coming away for a total of 6. Note groupings that are related to each other, they are a family. It's a family of notes, and then another family of notes. And the best way you can teach phrasing is by teaching families. Having the people put a curved line over this family, a curved line over this, and a curved line over this. How do phrases begin? With a crescendo or diminuendo usually? Crescendo. How do phrases usually end? Crescendo or diminuendo? Diminuendo. What's in the middle of those two things? Stress. One stressed note, right? Or a stressed syllable or a stressed word, right? That means that all those families of note groupings that you have discovered in your song will all have this as their foundation. Every one of them. Every time you start a new family, there's a little crescendo with it. When you end a family, there's a little diminuendo. And there's one note in there that should have the stress. So your music, with a fine, sharpened lead pencil and a ruler, which I usually use my driver's license, making all those crescendos, diminuendos over the phrases. In the alto part, then the tenor part, then in the bass part. I don't want to ever leave anything to chance. My music is marked up till people tease me about it. Johnny Carl, I can always tell your score, Newen, because it's always these colored pencils and all that stuff, and I circle everything that's in the music. I overmark a score. I have to tell you, I would not want you to mark your score the way I mark my score. And the older I get, the worse it gets. You either have photographic memory in which you don't have to mark much, or you have my kind of memory in which you have to mark a lot. But I think you should mark every nuance that you want to happen, whether you have a great memory or not. Every single nuance. You circle every sforzando, you put a little box around mezzo, forte, forte, and fortissimo signs, you put a little circle around pianissimo, piano, and mezzo piano signs. Every syllable that's stressed is a stress mark. You don't leave anything to the fact that you hope you'll remember it, or that you'll spot it in the rehearsal, because you'll forget and not spot too many things. And you also may not be consistent. And then we have the people put the markings in too. That's why we don't memorize any longer here at the cathedral, because to do everything I want to do to the music musically, we don't have time to memorize. And if we're going to memorize, then I can't do the other. And I'm just not willing to be a part of any situation in which I cannot be 100% musical to the best of my ability. As I said earlier in the week, I'd rather work at Sears. And so you got to set your own guidelines. It's going to take this much for me to be musical, and thoroughly musical. Now, if your group doesn't read very well, and there are only 12 in the choir, you can't be as nitpicky as I can be with a group that's really sharp. I understand that. Do what you can do. Just don't do nothing. start the process. And as your group gets better, you can do more. You recruit more singers and you do more. And as you teach them to read music, you can do more. When you play violin, when do you have an up bow and when a down bow? First of all, which is the most energetic bow? The up or the down? The gravity takes care of that. Energy has to lift. And so the violinist will always put an up bow on an off beat. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. That's always the way it is. And so I'll actually many times conduct that way with the choir. Da-dee. And my choir all knows about bowing. Bring a violinist in and show them, because it's so related. So these accented offbeats are, as I said earlier, uplifting, not hammered down. We're going to talk about 4/4 right now. We're emphasizing 2 and 4. One will be a little more than the other, but you don't never. That's a double negative. Y'all don't never accent none of them. One will be a little less or more than the other, dependent upon the melody. If the melody is like to the right on that top line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, it's obviously a 2. But that doesn't mean 4 doesn't still get a little. I put 4 in parentheses, so I'll want this. Watch up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to be a little there. The next line is the opposite, where 4 is the big deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And the melody will always tell you all of these things if the composer's any good at all. And so in triple meter time, it can't be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It has to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, whichever the melody tells you, and it will tell you 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And in 6/8 the same thing. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. It's one of the two. And you can figure that out. And then you have to teach it that way to the choir. For example, if we were doing, how lovely are the messengers that preach us the gospel of peace, that would be 6 and 3. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And I would have the choir singing on those numbers, and I would have them dance back and forth and take their music like this and scallop that 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How lovely are the messengers that preach us the gospel, like that, until they were really swinging and having a ball doing it. In which case, we emphasize some normally unemphasized or de-emphasized syllables. How lovely are the messengers that preach us the gospel of peace. Those aren't important words, are they? The important words are, how lovely are the messengers that preach us the gospel of peace. Well, the point here is, in this concept I'm teaching, when you're jazzing up and uplifting, energizing these offbeats, that does not negate stressing the primary beat. So in how gets that little crescendo with a whirlwind in it we talked about the other day. How. And then on love, it's got to sound like the word love and lean on love. The messenger that... And sometimes, in Baroque music especially, the music is more important than the words. And this is an important thing to latch on to. In the Baroque time, Bach and Handel, they repeated words over and over and over, don't they? And the glory of the Lord, and the glory, and the glory, and the glory, and the surely, 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 all that kind of stuff. And anytime you spot words being repeated over and over, you know immediately The words are secondary to the music. And they thought that when they wrote. The reason you sing those words over and over and over, it's the only way you can make sounds for the song. And so in the Baroque time, there were oboes and sopranos and bassoons and cellos and tenors and basses and violins, all music makers making music. So a 4-minute Bach piece is not choir with orchestral accompaniment or organ accompaniment. A 4-minute Bach piece or Handel piece is music makers making music on an idea. And the idea, well, even like last night in Sanctus, how many times do you sing Sanctus? A zillion. So I have to tell the audience what the song is about. Holy, holy, holy Lord God of hosts, heaven and earth are full of thy glory. Hosanna in the highest. Amen. And as we sing for 4 minutes these same words over and over, you meditate on the glory of your God. And our music, I hope, will enhance your meditation. Don't listen for the meaning of a word, because the words are just vehicles on which we make sound, like the organ has pipes. And our sounds for 4 minutes should be the sounds of joy and holy and that sort of thing. So that says that if the words are second, we can sometimes actually breathe in the middle of one. The messengers, if we want to emphasize sengers, we can have it say, how lovely are the messengers that preach us. But you would break it like an oboist would break their phrase. That it would be dependent upon the melody, not a word. Again, because the words are serving the melody instead of the other way around. In Baroque, well, in Bach to Beethoven. Bach to Beethoven. Then Brahms and those guys, Bruckner and Verdi, came along and said, hey, wait a minute. We believe in the words. Like the Renaissance did. The old Renaissance guys, words was important, music secondary. Romantic music, words number one, music secondary. So romantic music and Renaissance are akin. They're related. Baroque and classic are related for these reasons. We established earlier that in 6/8 music, you're going to either emphasize 6 and 3, and it usually begins with 6 because of an upbeat. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Or you emphasize 2 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. If you have 6 and 3, they will all be like this. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And 2 and 5 are the numbers that you de-emphasize. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 and 5 can be done one of two ways. Usually, look up here a second, it's not this, like 6 and 3 were. It's usually this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. But it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. 2, 3, 4. But it'll never be this, if it's 2 and 5. So in order for you to have your group perform musically, you're going to have to know which it is and have them learn which it is. What usually happens is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you don't do either one.
Let's take a moment to outline a system for marking forward motion in our scores. Remember that the concept of forward motion applies to rhythm, melody, and text. So we must have markings that can indicate exactly what we want to bring out in the music. For text, use a curved arrow under the word. This means that the word or syllable should move forward with real momentum. Here are some examples of forward motion on syllables. Divided, education, rudimentary. Notice how forward motion can complement the natural word and syllable inflection in the following statements. The Lord our God is great. The music is lovely. For rhythms and melodies, use an arrow to the right above the note, like this. You can also use an accent mark in parentheses to indicate a more subtle instance of forward motion. In these examples, the arrows indicate the note that will receive the main emphasis, while the accents in parentheses indicate the notes that will receive slightly less emphasis.
Now we go to pairs of eighth notes. Where do composers put pairs of eighth notes? On which beats? 2 and 4. You almost never see a pair of eighth notes on beat 1 or 3. If they did that, they would want a halting sound. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. They put them on beats 2 and 4 to move the music. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 stuff. There are 3 kinds of pairs of eighth notes we need to be alert to. One is the psi motive, where you stress the first one and de-emphasize the second one. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. The psi motive has no forward motion to it because it's this way. Dia, 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 dia. And they use it in sighing, weeping, wailing music of slow tempi in Baroque music. You got to look for it. And there's usually this note and this note is lower, and it's on the same syllable, and it will always be de-emphasized, diminuendo, like that. Now, we'll set that aside because that is in no place in our conversation this morning. The 2 examples that do fit into what we're talking about are when you have the pair of eighth notes on beats 2 or 4. Either they will both go forward, or the second one only will go forward, and the first one will be related to the previous note. If they both go forward, it's a melody like this. Yum tararam, tiraram, tararam, tararam, tiraram, tararam. We're 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1. If it's split, which is often the case, and the first note belongs to what has been, then it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. In which case, the first of the pair is de-emphasized because it's the end of the previous phrase. The second one has the energy because it begins the next phrase. In a dotted rhythm, and I know you know this, the dotted rhythm is not a dotted note and its little note partner. The dotted rhythm is the little note partner in the following note. The dotted note has nothing to do with it. And the little note after dotted note never belongs to the dotted note. It always belongs to the note or 2 or 3 after it. So da 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 da, and that has to have real stuff on it. So you say, glory, glory, hallelujah. So the re of glow is the thing that takes me to the next note. When you have a dotted quarter and an eighth note, we want to approach the eighth note early. Bring it back toward the dotted quarter, even though it belongs to the following note. We have 2 seemingly contradictory things here. The eighth note after a dotted quarter takes us forward, but we'd like to approach it early. Sing glory, 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 glory. Yes. Now, approach that a little earlier and really enjoy that eighth note. Glory. That's it. And that's the way we must always feel when we have a dotted quarter and an eighth. Now, a dotted eighth and a 16th is just the opposite. We push the 16th note as far to the right as we can. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Do that. Glory, early. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Early. Wait. That's right. And you've never heard that song sung that way, except on the Shaw Chorale album of patriotic songs. If the second half of a beat is our most important moment, because it's an and, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, unless both eighth notes go forward, then a note after an eighth rest is really dynamite. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and 1. So 3/8 notes at the end of a measure, and you have them all the time in music. And 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. That stuff. Of those 3/8 notes, the first and the third will always get some kind of a lift from us. The second won't be so important. And we have to decide which is more important, the first one or the third one. Would you sing this? Haydn, Lord Nelson Mass. Kyrie eleison. Ready, and Kyrie eleison. Now mainly what you did was Kyrie eleison, which is good. But now we want to, would you say Rie? 1, 2. Rie. No, like jazzy. Rie, 2. Rie, 2. Rie. Now we don't want to hear so much. 1, 2. Rie. Yes. Now that's the first eighth note, and de-emphasize the second. Now you got the third. Would you say eleison? Ready? Eleison. Yeah. Accent, stress, diminuendo. 1, 2. Eleison. Now we say Kyrie eleison. Ready? Kyrie eleison. Now you sing the whole Kyrie that way, and it's a pretty interesting piece for people to listen to. Do it pianissimo, but put the stuff in it. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Now we don't want leison, leison. Lean forward on le and give somebody a gift. And son. Key, 2. No, that wasn't enough spark on the 8. That's it. That's it. Never can a note just be tossed off as insignificant. Every note is a gift. Every note is a gift. Where does a composer put a pair of 16th notes? Always on the second half of a beat. Never on the first half of a beat unless they want that riveting, halting thing. On the first half would be this. Ra-da-da, 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 and everything's stopping. Da-da-da, da-da-da. They put them in the second half, so they say da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. In which case, the first note has nothing to do with the music. Boom. Now the music starts. Da-da-da, 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 da-da-da. So in the Bach St. John Passion, when you have this one chorus that has the word kreuzige, or crucify, all the way through it. Crucify, 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 crucify. Finally, at the end of about 50 seconds, crucify him! Just different chord progressions on that one word. And if you sing crucify, 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 it becomes very pedantic. But if you say the first cru is an introductory syllable, and now the word is sifakru, 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 then the piece just sails out the door. Don't take this stuff for granted. The choir, see, what did Robert Shaw bring to choral music other than integrity? Rhythm. He was a drummer. Rhythm. And in his early years, no matter what question you'd ask him, you'd get the answer, rhythm. How do you deal with melody? Rhythm. How do you deal with tone? Rhythm. Everything. How do you deal with diction? Rhythm. It's all rhythm. So he finally broke the mold between the Lutheran tradition, which was this, and the Westminster tradition, which was big but still a bit ponderous, this way, and he brought drive and snare drum rhythm to choral music. So these are the things that will do that for us. I analyzed, what is it that Shaw does? What is it that Chicago Symphony does? What is it that Fischer Dieskau does when he sings? And I literally sat down and analyzed this stuff, and Julius Herford taught me a bunch of it too, and so did Shaw. And this is what happens. And the great, 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 great people don't even have to think about it anymore much. They just do it. But this is what they do. So until we're really great at it, we've got to consciously mark it and do it and mark it and do it and mark it and do it.